Welcome back to the channel. Today I've been testing out RoboQuest VR on PSVR2, and if you're interested in the PCVR version and wondering if it's a good port, I've already made a gameplay video including my thoughts on that version 5 days ago. But I will also be doing some graphical comparisons between the two versions in this video, and to note, the MetaQuest version is still coming but probably in 2026, and the upcoming multiplayer won't be available at launch on PSVR2 and PCVR, but in my last video I did play some of it in an early build because I think the Flat to VR team want to ensure they will make good on delivering this mode in a future update. So if you want to see some multiplayer action, I'll leave a link to that video in this video description. So let's quickly summarize everything about RoboQuest VR, which is priced at $30, and then we'll get into some technical stuff. RoboQuest is a full-on high-speed roguelike with 10 biomes and 10 bosses, which are known as major encounters, and the levels are procedurally generated. There's 80 plus weapons, all carefully remade for VR, and they can be manually reloaded, two-handed, and sniper rifles, for example, have working scopes. There's also an auto reload option, which I personally prefer to use due to how hectic this game can be. Now, all of that is very quick and easy to say, but this is what makes a VR port so special and not just another VR mod. There's 20 plus gameplay modifiers, and these act as perks with varying effects, and some of them are determined by which of the 7 robot suits you'll be using, because they all have varying abilities. For example, the yellow robot has a temporary shield barrier activated by touching your chest and holding the R1 button or grip button. So as you collect the modifiers, you'll find that one modifier might increase your damage output while the shield is active, but it might also lessen your movement. Throughout your playtime, you'll collect wrenches to spend on permanent upgrades back at the base camp to increase your permanent health or the amount of weapons available every time you open a crate. There's also power cores you spend dynamically to spend on in-game modifiers and enhancing your current weapons, or even to buy some new ones. There's tons of enemy variety, and when you enter each biome, you'll have a new challenge to overcome. The replayability then is massive. There's tons of different paths to take. You'll come across certain characters who need you to perform certain errands for rewards. There's doors which are locked until you find the correct key or complete a task, and the other robot suits are unlocked either by achievements you need to do in-game, or you find a weapon associated with that robot suit. And when you inflict critical damage by shooting any red areas on the enemies, which seems to always be their eyes, you're rewarded with a very cool pinball sounding ding. What this all means is that RoboQuest VR is a very addictive and excellent roguelike, and it doesn't get stale due to all the variety I've just mentioned, and I think the future edition of multiplayer will increase the amount of gameplay even more. And before I deep dive into PSVR2 specifics, this is a surprisingly perfect port from the original flat screen version. So how does the PSVR2 version shape up? Well, I can tell you straight away it's not as polished, at least as of right now, as the PCVR version. There's some graphical glitches in the environment, and sometimes you'll see black health bars floating around. And as bugs go, I only encountered one, and this happened because I chose seated mode before I finished the tutorial, and this made further options from that point impossible to select. Aside from that, it's pretty much perfect in terms of gameplay. Now, to confirm my findings of the PSVR2 version, I reached out to the developers to get their confirmation. What we have with RoboQuest VR is brilliant headset rumble and fantastic adaptive triggers, but it is reprojected to 120Hz, and in my opinion it's not the best use of reprojection I've seen, and I think that's down to how fast this game really is and how much is going on screen sometimes. They have told me it does use eye tracking with dynamic foveated rendering, which means the images you're seeing are lovely and sharp, so there's absolutely no blurriness. But I think those of you sensitive to reprojection will definitely notice it playing RoboQuest, and possibly might make you feel a little bit nauseous. I think of myself as someone who has a very high tolerance to reprojection, but there was a few times it made me feel a little uneasy. This was based on over 2 hours of continuous play. They have told me a native 90Hz is on the way though, so I would advise to those of you who are sensitive to reprojection, keep your eyes open on the PSVR Reddit or whatever Discord you're in for people who may be sensitive to reprojection and have picked it up anyway. In terms of sheer graphics and presentation comparisons, the PCVR again is the winner. It looks more colourful, even though I used the PSVR2 for the PCVR version, so I'm not really sure how this has happened, and there seems to be more graphical effects and everything just looked that little bit extra. And it goes without saying you obviously don't have reprojection on PCVR. So with all that being said, I think Flat to VR have knocked it out of the park in regards to the VR port overall. You really wouldn't know this was ever originally a flat screen game, and PCVR owners should definitely pick it up if this is the type of game they're looking for. And for PSVR2 players, if you're happy with reprojection, I again fully recommend it, as I'm certain the little issues I've raised will be fixed very quickly. But for anyone sensitive sensitive to reprojection, it may be worth holding off a little while till the 90Hz native update is released. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one.